justice for all.
We'll start with a prayer for Ukraine. O Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on us. Grant peace and protection to the people of Ukraine. Give them strength and courage to defend what is good, right, and holy. Keep them safe from harm and provide for all of their needs. Hear our prayers, O Lord, and deliver us from distress, for you are merciful and compassionate, and love mankind. To you we give you glory, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, now and forever. Amen.
Amen.
Good morning, Adrian.
Good morning. Okay, today's financials include a supplemental in the Commissioner's Phase 2 Capital Reserve Fund and the Contract Services account for upcoming encumbrances. Among the encumbrances are encumbrance increase from the Commissioner's Office to the Geauga County Sheriff to cover an increase in auction items being sold through the county from seized equipment, and travels from the Engineer's Office to attend the County Engineer Association's Administrative Conference, the Bridge Workers, Supervisors, and Engineers Conference, and Trade Show, and the American Public Works Association Snow Conference. And among the vouchers are $38,400 from JFS to Geauga Board of Mental Health for the Youth Center for their first half of the Family First Council's yearly funding commitment, and $34,960 from Water Resources to Buckeye Pumps for a spare influent pump for Mcfarland Wastewater Treatment Plant.
Okay. Motion. Second?
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Commissioner DeBoer?
Yes.
Real quick, do you have an update on the youth center and the rehab project?
I know they're working on the redoing the bathrooms
Mm-hmm.
with Glenn, so they have some operating bathrooms, but as far as any big project, no, there's nothing more than this.
Well, they received a grant. Mental health did. I think that was going to go towards.
They received approval to, if I remember correctly, they received approval to request the grant money. So they haven't received the grant yet.
They haven't?
No.
Okay. All right.
So are all the restrooms in working order in that building?
There are two more they still have to finish.
Okay, number 2, the Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board approve and authorize the President of the Board to execute Amendment Number 2 to the agreement to provide professional consulting services with Maximus Consulting Services Incorporated, extending our agreement for the period of March 22nd, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. All other items and conditions of the original agreement remain unchanged and in full force and effect with an amount not to exceed $11,000. This is for the cost allocation
Okay.
for the county department.
Very good. So moved. Second.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner DeBoer?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
All right. Hey, Debbie. How are you?
Good morning.
I have a Humane Society animal cruelty case that Holland and Reardon are representing, and we have that cap of 500, and they have exceeded the cap by $350 in invoicing.
Okay.
I'm just looking for permission to exceed that cap and pay this for the last $350.
Okay. Very good.
Make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner DeBoer?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning, Nick.
Good morning, how are we today?
Good.
Item 4 on the agenda is requesting the board accept and execute a highway easement between the Board of Commissioners and Fairmount Farms 1 LLC for the roadway improvements to Jug Street, County Highway 46 in Troy Township, in the amount of $200. It's a culvert easement around the extension of the culvert.
Okay.
Make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner DeBoer?
Yes.
Item 5 on the agenda is requesting the board accept, approve, and adopt the revised changes to the policy and guidance for the application and distribution of the Geauga County Municipal Motor Vehicle License Tax, and further execute the statement of policy to be effective March 22, 2022. This is, this has been for the license plate tax. The updates included with the new census, so we updated the percentages that were in the back of that policy. Changed a few things to be more in line with the ORC, so just basically a revision to the document.
Okay, so there's no increase?
No, the amount of money is still based on, it's just how it's being distributed to
Okay.
the municipalities. It's used for the money for roadways that are conducive to the traffic within the municipality versus the county and township roadways.
Okay.
So things like Fifth Avenue or in Middlefield, Tar Creek, roadways that are conducive to travel through the municipality.
Mhm.
So that's the monies that we received. It was based on population, and with the new census, we updated that portion of it in the back of that document.
Mhm.
We're
But the-
using a portion of that. Recently, you approved the use of that money for Washington Street with South Russell Village, so that's where those funds are going.
But there'll be no change at the BMV?
No. No, this just changes our policy and how we handle the funds.
On our end.
Yes.
Okay. Second.
Commissioner Spillier? Commissioner Locke?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Good morning.
Hey, how are you?
The engineer's office is requesting the execution of a fuel contract with Centerra Co-op. This is going to be per the state terms in their contracts, mimicking that very closely. That's for the purchase of unleaded and 2 different types of diesel.
How does this take in, so this was different than the way the engineers of the office has done it in the past, correct? I mean, we're going out to bid for this in a different way here.
Yeah, it's not really necessarily going out to bid, but we're just going to be purchasing under the state term
Okay.
pricing. So we're actually going to be getting at a reduced rate from what they purchased.
How does that take into consideration, the volatile swings and price changes and stuff?
So the core of the contract is structured off of Opus pricing,
Mhm.
which is kind of an index price that's published daily, and then there's all the extra fees and taxes that go into it. Just as a quick example, we ran some numbers for what it would have been on January 18th. We had paid $3.40 a gallon that day, and we would have paid $3.15.
Mm-hmm. What are you paying now, today, for diesel fuel?
I don't know what the price
No.
is today. That's what we tried to get receipts from, something that we actually had paid, so we could use it as an example.
Mhm.
So based off that would have been about a 25-cent savings per gallon,
Right.
roughly about 60,000 gallons a year is what we typically use, so it'd be about $15,000.
60 total,
Yeah.
including both the diesels and unleaded?
Just for diesel.
Just for
That's
diesel?
the core of what we
Okay.
purchased, so I did some numbers
So
off of that.
this $240,000 compared to years past, did you increase that budget amount?
So we're usually spending around 200,000 a year.
200, yeah.
So that 40,000 is a little bit of a extra.
Mhm.
Plus, we're starting this here, in April, essentially, by the time it takes effect, so that should be enough for this
Enough.
year, even with the increasing.
Just hypothetically, if it were to exceed that 240, would you have to come back for additional?
Yes, we
Yeah.
would have to come back and put something in writing to extend it.
Okay. Okay.
So on average, with the state bid, it's about 25 cents a gallon less.
Well, that's just off that day. This fluctuates very volatile.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's always going to be a pretty significant discount, 25 cents a gallon on that day. It was significant.
Okay, thank you.
So, second.
Commissioner Spillier? Spillier?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Good morning.
Hi. How are you?
Yeah, Linda's off this week, so you guys give me the day.
Perfect. Perfect.
So this is the Auburn Woods subdivision located on Quinn Road in Auburn Township. It is a replat of sublot 3R to create sublot 3R1 and 3R2. The two property owners involved are Mr. Ryan Petrowski and Mr. John Beebe. It was approved at the March 8th, 2022 Planning Commission meeting. The property owner of sublot 3R, Ryan Petrowski, has negotiated with Mr. Beebe to split the southern 17.0173 acres of his property and consolidate it with Mr. John Beebe's property located to the south. The result would be 29 acres for Mr. Petrowski and about 62 acres for Mr. Beatty.
Very well.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Spudler.
Aye.
Commissioner Lance.
Yes.
Commissioner DeWort.
Yes.
Good job.
You wanna wait for this?
You want to take this with you?
Can you put a date on it?
8,
Date it.
okay. I'll wait
It's
here.
right above there. Today's the 22nd.
3/22/22.
That's it. How are you? Wasn't sure you guys were gonna be here.
Okay.
Cool. Hey, how are you?
Hey, Martha.
Good morning. The Department on Aging is requesting that the board approve a reclassification of one of our full-time social workers, Natalie Pike, to a part-time position. It's a position that we recently opened up and she was interested in going part-time. And we have opened up the full-time position. We're getting applications in and starting the interview process later this week.
Very good. So moved. Second?
Commissioner Spudler. Commissioner Lance.
Yes.
Commissioner DeWort.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, John.
Good morning.
How are you?
Pretty good. How are you guys?
Good.
So we got a meeting schedule on the books?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, they're coming up, it's gonna be great.
Okay.
All right, item 9. About a year ago, March 30th, 21, we signed an agreement with Rentler for uniforms. Rentler has been purchased by Universe, so we just signed an agreement addendum that will follow the same thing through the 3-year contracts. It'll be 2 more years waiting for the first.
Okay, very good. So moved. Second?
Commissioner Spudler.
Aye.
Commissioner
Yes.
Lance. Commissioner DeWort.
Yes.
Very good.
Thank you
Have a
very
good
much.
day.
You too.
Morning.
How are you, sir?
Okay, number 10, Department of Water Resources is requesting the board approve and authorize the president of the board to execute the OWDA fund payment request number 4 for HDR Engineering for the Mcfarland Wastewater Treatment Plant renovation and upgrade in the amount of $16,111.98.
So moved. Second?
Commissioner Spudler.
Aye.
Commissioner Lance.
Aye.
Commissioner DeWort.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Farm Bureau. It's in here.
Yes, they're coming in.
Okay.
And that is-
Got a full house back there.
Standing room.
You in the bleachers back there, Bob? Morning. How are you guys?
Morning.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. It's getting that time of year, right?
It is. We just finished up our maple season for us, and everything in agriculture is in full swing. So
I saw that.
Yeah,
I
for
saw that.
sure.
Was it a good year or fast? Too fast or?
It was fast. It was
Fast,
Yeah.
yeah.
Very, very weird weather.
Yeah,
But we made the best of it, so.
that's it. That's it. Very good.
Good.
Well, you guys can go ahead and let us know what you have on the burner this month.
So, we got some packets for you. This is our update of what Farm Bureau did for Jog County and at the state level the past year, and what our goals are for 2022. Every year, we reach out to the county commissioners and other elected officials and stakeholders in the county for input on what issues could be coming up in the farming community and how Farm Bureau can, set our programming and policies for the following year to incorporate all these ideas. And we're very lucky to work with our great commissioners here. They all are very active in our process, be able to communicate with them. And they, Jim, Commissioner DeWort brought up about the water issues in the western basin of Ohio, keeping those regulations to the western part of the state, not bringing them our way. Commissioner Lennon, you were, concerned about, the urban areas overtaking rural Jog County. So we are aware of that, and we are concerned about that too. And same with Commissioner Spitaleri, keeping Jog County rural. That's important. So that's one of the main goals of Farm Bureau, is keep agriculture as the #1 business in the county. So
Yeah, being a grassroots organization that we are, it really means a lot to work with our local leaders to, push and keep agriculture the way it is in our county. So we appreciate everything that goes into it from each and every one of you.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Thank you.
it's very
Thank
important.
Well, we had this resolution for agriculture
Yeah.
week. And, really appreciate you guys coming in. And I've been a member for 15 or 16 years, past 4-H advisor and things like that. So agriculture is everybody's bread and butter.
Mhm.
So,
You want to have Kristen read that real quick?
Oh,
I think it's short, you know.
Resolution recognizing National Agriculture Week, March 21st through March 27th, 2022. Whereas the Agricultural Council of America recognizes and celebrates National Agriculture Week as a way to remind citizens that agriculture is a part of us. This year, on March 22nd, 2022, will be the 49th anniversary of National Ag Day and will be celebrated across the country as Growing a Climate for Tomorrow. And whereas agriculture is the foundation of our country, the backbone of a healthy and prosperous nation, all made possible thanks to the hard work of America's farms and farm families. And whereas agriculture plays an important role in our economy by providing food, fiber, and renewable resources, products, along with the jobs involved in the processing, distribution, and marketing of the food and fiber products. Agriculture touches everyone in almost every way. Whereas agriculture plays an important role here in Geauga County, with 1,049 farms totaling 69,907 acres of land being farmed for crops, livestock, and other products. The top 3 agriculture producers are dairy, cattle, and milk production, farm inputs, equipment, and professional services, and greenhouse nursery and horticulture production. Now therefore be it resolved that the Geauga County Board of Commissioners hereby recognize National Agriculture Week as March 21st to the 27th of 2022 and encourages the residents of Geauga County to celebrate the achievements of the many working together, including our local farms that produce the abundance of agricultural products that strengthen and enrich our community and our nation. Be it further resolved that this resolution becomes part of the permanent record of the Board of County Commissioners of Geauga County, Ohio.
Great. Get a quick picture?
you guys.
Should I? Oh, yeah. I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Commissioner Spillier? Mr. Lemon?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Thanks for coming.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you? How are you? Hi, Tim Lennon.
Hi,
Kristen. How are you? Yeah. Getting tight.
Commissioner Wise, you want to give me your vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
Great. All right. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, take care. All right. Good to see you. Good seeing you guys. Take care. Thanks. Don't get that tractor stuff.
Yeah. Every week, right, Bob?
I got a statistic about small farms. The increase in Geauga County hasn't gone up. I got one of them.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the same as it was last year.
Oh, really?
There's no increase.
Oh, okay.
So, the next item is I'm asking you to authorize the President of the Board to execute the fair contract for the Bicentennial Building during fair this year, August 31st to the 22nd through September 5th of 22.
So moved. Second.
Commissioner Spillier? Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Duda?
Yes.
The next 3 items are change orders for the new building project. First one, number 14, being some additional door cores to accommodate the electronic locking mechanisms within the building. So just the fobs, so we can get some additional doors in the building.
Is that all of them, or was it just a few?
This was additional ones that we had changed out from our
Okay.
original design as we were looking into it.
Okay.
And then number 11 is a change order for the ADP area and for the title office. The change order with the ADP was with moving more of the equipment down there, putting the anti-static paint on the floor so that when they're working down there, they don't shock the equipment. And then some adjustments to the suppression system within the rooms, and also the addition of additional air conditioning units within the closets. So
The computer rooms?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it keeps it cool.
Very
And then
good.
with title, it was the side windows between the customer windows so that the staff can see everybody in the room. They've had some issues down at this new down at the existing building where people have come in and been standing in a location where their title folks couldn't see them.
Okay.
So it's just for customer service.
So do you think this will tie up as far as any loose ends within these?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the final conclusions of those.
Okay.
And then with the BMV, they made some requests. That change order, actually, the cost of that will be rolled into what their rent is. So
Oh, yeah.
it'll be reimbursed from them.
Very good. Okay.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Commissioner DeWort?
Yes.
And then the next item is payment number 16 in the amount of $1,507,635.11. Their additional work that they've done. I believe this is January's.
Okay.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Commissioner DeWort?
Yes.
And they're still on time and on track? And
They're still on track. The one thing they are having issues with right now is getting from, I can't remember the name of the company, but a couple of the switches in the electrical boxes.
Oh,
They're switching things over from backup power to the regular.
the parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Golder Electric?
Golder is the contractor. It's the manufacturer that's having trouble getting that
Okay.
Supply.
supply. And then item number 18 is requesting authorization for me to sign the settlement agreement for the Giant Eagle opioid lawsuit settlement. I believe the number was about $125,000. That was the one that Prosecutor Flace was talking about a couple weeks ago. That
Yep.
There's no strings attached to the funds that are coming in. This is just authorizing me to be able to sign it.
Where will those funds go?
They would come to the county and go into the general fund.
Into the
That's my
general
understanding,
fund?
yes.
And then, but you said no strings attached to it.
There's no,
We could-
what Prosecutor Flaes has said is there's no strings attached, so it's not like you have to spend it on anything specific. Whether it's, you know,
It doesn't have to be related to the opioid or
that's
law
my-
enforcement?
That's my understanding with this one, yeah. It could be
Okay.
utilized for anything, but, you know, the
But-
recommendation obviously would be for the opioids, since that's why we're in
Okay.
that lawsuit.
Okay.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Commissioner DeWort?
Yes.
The next item deals with the Chardon Township wastewater treatment plant project with the residents. In last week, the 30 days that was originally set in the resolution is that would expire this Saturday, so they got till Monday to do it. But just, this is a resolution to extend that time frame by 30 days. So they'll
Okay.
put off any of the assessments
And that was some type, that was imposed on, we came up with that 30 days
Yeah,
originally?
there was nothing in the Ohio Revised Code that said it had to be a specific time frame.
Okay, so if we need to extend it, we can extend it as long as
So if we
we
need to
need.
extend it again, we can extend it again.
Very good.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Commissioner DeWort?
Yes.
And then, you just wanted to,
Yeah,
give a quick,
I have looked into the ARPA funds. There are a few issues within there, being the requirement for federal procurement, which is not followed on that project because it wasn't getting any federal funds. And then also there is a date that says that it's for costs expended as of March 1st, 2021. This project started before there. There's further clarification that costs expended are when, when you create the responsibility of paying for it with the loans that were taken out, which were taken out early on in the project.
prior
We
to
may
that.
have those issues. I have sent that information off to the prosecutor's office to review for legal.
Okay, and that's the purpose of the 30-day extension?
You're correct.
So the prosecutor can
Give them-
review
give some
what your
additional time for their
concerns are.
review. Yes.
Okay. Very good. Okay.
We'll go right into public comment.
No questions, comments? Your name?
Mike Valco, I'm a Brookshire resident. Could you clarify that just a little bit for me? You said at the last meeting, you said you were gonna ask the county prosecutor about the ARPA funds,
Yes.
the legality. So what you just said now was that, what was that date, March 1st of 2021?
Correct, that is language that's in the ARPA rules. is the-
Okay, and why this would affect the distribution of the funds? I wasn't quite clear on that.
It could affect the distribution of the funds for this project, given that it says that it's cost expended after that date. And it further clarifies in the ARPA rules that the determination of cost expended is when the money is first appropriated for the project, which would have been before March 1st of 2021.
And that's what the prosecutor is going to review and double check, make sure. I mean, again, these were concerns of the office, so he's going to review that and see if that is the case.
So you extended this research on the information out of the 30 days?
Yes.
Yeah, to give us more time to get the.
And as far as
clarification.
the time for the assessment, that has been extended also, so.
Was anything brought up about a public meeting in the evenings pertaining to this after or during that 30-day period?
We have had that discussion. I've had the discussion with each of the commissioners individually, and we can have a public meeting, but until we get the reply back from the prosecutor, it doesn't make sense to have a public meeting to talk about
Right.
something we don't know the answer for.
Right, okay.
But once there is a final answer, we'll put together some kind of public meeting to go through
Okay,
that
thank you.
process.
And how will communications be sent out for that meeting?
Same way it's been sent out with all the other meetings, it'll be sent out as, well, if it's official meeting from the commissioners, it'll be advertised in the paper as required, but we will also send a letter to each of the property owners, just as we've done with the other meetings we've had.
In the back, go ahead. State your name.
Jim Lodato. So, the money you're talking about for the appropriations, so in 2022, according to the appropriations on your website, there's about $3 million appropriated for the wastewater treatment plant that was put in Chariton Township. Is that different than what you just stated about 2021?
The 2021 date is the ARPA rules that says that the money has for costs expended after that date.
Okay.
There's further clarification that says that the determination of cost expended is when you've taken on the original obligation for that fund. So
I think
that
what-
would be, from what I read on that, and this is the clarification I'm getting from the prosecutor's office, is that would be when the loans were originally taken out, which was before that date.
There's no room for any appropriations after that fact?
I don't know that, that's the prosecutor, that's a legal opinion that needs to be determined by the prosecutor.
So my other question, and thank you for that, but you are appropriating $3.1 million this year to that project?
Within the
Not-
funds that the county.
Not the ARPA funds.
Not the ARPA funds.
Understood. Same money. So my other question is, why did you request the ARPA money in the first place?
Because the money was there for the county and the county had to request the funds from the state or from the feds
For what?
to get the money in place.
From
So
multiple
that-
other projects.
But what are the other projects at the point?
Well, the board hasn't officially made decisions yet, but there's been multiple different requests from across the county. There's different organizations, NGOs that are looking for funding as well, so.
Are those in the minutes somewhere?
No, like I said, it hasn't been officially decided on we haven't weighed the pros and cons of those requests yet.
So the requests are being made though?
Yeah,
And where are they?
we get them, we get letters into the office, we get phone calls to commissioners saying that how do they submit through the process, so it hasn't been decided yet. I mean, like for example, the University Hospitals is looking for funding. They submitted a letter to the commissioners.
Can I just, you must have requested the money for something.
Well, because it was available to the county.
Did you need it?
Well, I mean, do you want my opinion on it as far as
Yeah,
the funding? Yeah, I don't think that 99% of the counties in this country needed it.
Do you think?
So
that-
am I opposed to ARPA? Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
do you think that our residents need a $50,000 septic system?
Well,
Each
no.
one of us?
No,
And we got one.
no,
Yeah, so we could use the money too.
that's right.
So it would be nice, I mean,
Well,
so out of the $5 million project, you found 10%. You found $500,000 for us.
2.1 million.
Pardon me?
The whole project was around 5
Well, the
million.
entire project's
The only-
5 point.
Yeah, the only
True.
grant we got was 500,000.
So you got 500, you got 10% of the project.
That was the only grant that was available to this project, was $500,000.
And then although we see Dave Joyce just funded $3.5 million in Scranton Falls, and another $3.5 million in Willoughby Hills.
Agreed.
And he gives $800,000 from Mcfarland. I mean, none of that happened. This is 9 years, right?
Right.
So just let me do some simple math, all right? So $4.5 million we're on the hook for, all right? Divided by 113, all right? That's 39 grand. Plus 8% interest, 47,000. Plus a tie-in,
Right.
right?
Yeah, I mean, what do you, yeah.
What am I saying?
Yeah.
What am I saying?
No, I mean, no, I'm asking you, is that, I mean, you're kind of saying that, like, you're looking at me like this was something that was put on by the county or the commissioners, right? I mean,
I'm looking at where is the effort to help fund this?
there's
thing?
been, I've been here for 5 years. When I got here, this thing was full steam
Oh,
ahead.
yeah.
There
I
was
get it.
multiple different efforts, people looking for different grants, and unfortunately, it wasn't qualifying. You know, in Geauga County, we weren't qualifying for it.
But you're gonna find $18 million to spend for somebody that qualifies.
Yeah, well, $18 million times 88 counties, do the math. I mean, this ARPA funds
88
is,
counties, what are you talking
yeah, and across the state of Ohio.
You got $18 million in Geauga County.
That's right.
So,
We gotta make sure, before we allocate those funds, we gotta first make sure they meet the requirements of the, there are
I
rules
would
to
think that
it.
you would be sure that you qualify on a federal level. Otherwise, you're gonna have to turn the money back, right?
Well, there's certain projects we can use it on.
Like ours.
Well, we're not sure yet. We're not sure yet.
We're researching.
We're researching it.
Even if you couldn't use it, right?
We're researching it. We don't have the official.
This is my
le-
point. This is my point. So you've been researching it. You already knew when you applied whether it would go or not. Whether it would apply or not.
Not necessarily. Not to every
Then why
single
would you apply?
project. Not to every single project. There's more than one project.
What are
This
they?
money's going to be divvied up.
Can you please tell me what the projects are? Why did
There's
you
going to
apply?
be. We haven't.
There are no specific projects right now
Right, so you
designated
got the
for the
money.
use of that fund, those
Okay.
funds. We had a certain set of time, certain period of time that the county had to request the funds from the federal government.
Right.
Or we would not have gotten that money, and it would have gone to any other counties, other states, whatever.
Listen,
The appropriate thing to do was request the money from the feds, to have it in our coffers, to be able to use if we have projects that could be used. We haven't gone through that whole determination of any projects as to what we would use that
So
for.
Jerry, why?
At the end of the day, we may have to send it back.
Why? Okay, that's fine. Why would our project not be on your radar?
Because the project was already started, so there's and the one thing when you accept federal funds.
$50,000 hit. A $50,000 hit. Are you? Do you hear what I'm saying? $50,000. You can't come up with you can't come up with a couple million, a 3 million, anything. For $50K. Would you put $50K in your septic system? With a substandard road, not to mention you get to remind myself every time I go down that road about the crap that you guys put in, and now you're going to shove 50 grand down my throat. Where's the logic? And then you go out and get $18 million, and you're like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to hang out with it. Oh, by the way,
When you get
we
money,
could use
when you
some
get
help.
money from any organization, a bank, the federal government, local, state funds, there are rules and regulations you need to follow with
Okay,
regards to that.
I agree
That's
with
what
you.
we're looking at right now, is to see if this project fits within those rules
I
and
would think you would
regulations.
know the rules before you requested the money. Otherwise, it's a violation of federal law.
Yeah, but see,
The
You
federal
can't
gov-
request PPP money knowing that you don't fit the criteria.
we pulled down the grant for other projects as well. It isn't just this project. There's multiple different projects. I mean,
Okay.
and there's multiple different requests.
And I'm asking you, where are they?
We're working on them. we still haven't made an official decision.
Mr. Lennon, with all due respect,
Yeah.
please, if you're discussing them, are they in a minutes, are they in a memo, are they somewhere? By the way, where are the minutes for 2022?
Well, I'm waiting for the help desk to actually upload them to the website.
Okay.
Because they were sent at the beginning of the month to ask to be loaded when they were finally approved, and I'm still waiting for them to be uploaded.
Okay, thank you. I just feel like you requested the money and you didn't even give us give a shot. Didn't even look at us. Didn't even look
Well,
at
that's
us.
what we're doing now. We're giving it, we're looking
You
at
passed
it.
the resolution. You had $9 million in the bank and you still passed the resolution.
The biggest reason why it was not initially is because of the federal procurement requirements. This project started well before the ARPA money became available. We did not follow federal procurement requirements because we were not required to follow federal procurement requirements with the money we were receiving.
Okay,
When you receive federal funds, you have to follow federal procurement requirements.
okay. That applies to the ARPA money too.
Yes. At
You're
least
sure?
as far,
You're
as
sure?
that,
But this is emergency money. You're
that-
sure?
that
Under
is-
the CARES Act.
that is part of the other question I've asked the prosecutor to look at. Because all of the numerous meetings I went to and webinars I sat in on the ARPA funds, the one thing that they always harped on was that everything has to be federal procurement requirements. And be careful what you use it for. There was even, not that, no decision has been made, but there have been broadband companies making requests, utilizing the funds that are coming from the state for the commissioners to utilize ARPA funds. One of the things that CCAO, which is the County Commissioners Association of Ohio, which is kind of one of the groups we look at, one of the things that they have cautioned is do not use your ARPA funds to pick up the broadband funds that these companies are coming to the commissioners requesting funds for, because they're getting the state funds, which is a completely separate rules than what ARPA requires. So that's another one of those where we received those requests, but as we're getting advice, we're getting advice.
Thank you for that narrative. I just find it disingenuous that you would have $9 million sitting around, pass a resolution that's going to impose a $50,000 hit to us over 30 years, and not even look into it, and now all of a sudden you're going to look into it. I just find it disingenuous.
I think what it was under, the office didn't believe that it qualified. I mean, that's what I think it was, right? I mean, it was just, this project didn't meet those deadlines or the requirements, but, we're gonna take another look at it. We've got the prosecutor reviewing it. If it's available to this, then we're gonna then make that decision.
Okay. To what extent
To what extent of what?
will you fund it?
I don't know. I mean, should they fund the entire thing,
I think it should be on parity with the rest of the wastewater treatment plants that you assessed.
right?
I think it should be on parity with that. Are they getting hit for 50 grand?
Well, there's assessments out there. There's people,
In
there's
my-
assessments out there.
In my review recently of some of the past assessments, ones that have recently come off the books, that they were averaging around $1,000 a month, which is this assessment's going to be in that same range.
A year.
30 years?
A year.
For
I'm
30
sorry,
years?
$1,000 a year.
A year.
A year,
A
a
year.
year.
For 30 years?
And that assessment started,
Well,
what?
some of them were only for 20 years.
Okay, that's a big difference from 30, is it not?
Well,
That's
yeah,
$10,000.
but those projects also did not have a wastewater treatment plant as part of the project. They were paying for
Some
that.
of them were just sewer
There's no
tie-in.
comparison then.
Yeah.
It's still $1,000 a year on the properties.
But not for an
The
extra
final,
10
the
years.
total amount may have been less, but it's still $1,000 a year. on the
Just
property.
looking for some fairness.
Right.
Just looking for some fairness. And looking for somebody to go help us find some money.
Because we also
The county
have,
didn't kick in a nickel.
Yeah.
Or the township.
Well,
Not a nickel.
the county, I mean, the water resources kicked in $1.4 million
Stop.
towards the project.
Stop.
They did.
Stop.
I mean, the total amount was what was it, five what?
You gave us a loan. You gave us another burden.
Well,
Here's
how much
a loan,
was it?
go pay it back. What do you
It's
mean you
not
take
that-
the 1.4?
No.
we had this discussion, Jim.
Yeah.
That
And
money's
you didn't
coming
return
from
my call, by the way. Go ahead.
all of the county, all the water resources customers.
Uh-huh.
That additional bill is being paid by them. So you're asking basically that the people of Aquila to help pay for your sewers. So,
I'm
or
paying
help
for
them
that.
pay
I
for your
mean,
sewer system.
what's in
The
the bill?
people.
$166, $130 a month is, I'm still paying for the project, am I not?
Partially,
So then what
yes.
did you put in? Did you take money out of the general fund and put it in the project, my question?
No.
Correct.
Water
You didn't take
resources,
nothing.
Water Resources does not get any money from the general fund. They are an enterprise.
Right.
It's
You gave us
separate.
a loan.
It's separate from the general fund.
Understood.
It's,
I know, understood.
Yeah.
Understood. My simple question.
Yeah, Chuck, go ahead.
Okay, my question is the probate court gave you the perfect vehicle in which to take these funds and give them to us, but you chose to appeal it. I'm trying to understand how that happens, because you're challenged your own citizenry who got a favorable verdict, you didn't like it, it gave you the perfect vehicle then to take these funds because of the ruling and apply them, but yet you chose to appeal the lower court's decision.
We chose to appeal the wrong decision by the lower court because he refused to follow the law that was out there, which is what reason why it got turned over. The probate court also does not have authority to authorize us to ignore all the other rules and regulations within ARPA.
So then why were we put on that, on that course? Because that's our legal way to challenge your initial orders. So that's the route that we had to take, but then the probate court, your legal arm, doesn't have the right to rule on that?
They had the right to rule on it, but according to
but
the
not
appellate
favorable.
court, they ruled incorrectly. They did not follow the law that was there. There's rules and regulations that are in the Ohio Revised Code, and that's what the appellate court said, was that the probate court did not follow the requirements that are in the Ohio Revised Code.
I guess they're both difference of opinions by courts. But we gave you, the court gave you the vehicle to do it, you chose to go the other route and challenge your citizenry.
The vehicle that the court gave us, if we follow your thinking, your line of thinking, is for the rest of the taxpayers in Geauga County to pay for this. The probate court did not overrule the rules that are within ARPA if they keep from utilizing these funds for that.
Go ahead,
I just wanted to double check my understanding of the dates when the ARPA funds were available. I heard April of 2021, and the funds were received in August of 2021, or?
I don't know exactly, but it was somewhere in June, July, August is when we received them.
June, July, or August of last year.
Somewhere in that range.
And nothing was done about it until it was brought up at that Tuesday night's meeting. All that money was sitting there, the $9 million or the $18 million for all those months, and nothing was brought up, say, hey, we can use this for this wastewater treatment. I understand where you're coming from, but I just want to see that big amount of time from August till last month. What was it? March the 9th was that Tuesday meeting, I think. And all of a sudden, we find out that all of this money's there. So I just wanted to comment on that and find out about those dates. So the dates were correct, April 2021, and the funds were received approximately in August, June,
Yes,
July,
and
August.
in the Ohio, in the rules under ARPA, it's for expenses after March of 2021. March 1st of
After
2021.
March.
$3 million coming up.
So wouldn't that include our road repair that you guys botched? No? The chip and tar that's all in my front yard now?
Yeah.
In my shoes when I take a walk?
The road
The road repair
road-
was not in
road-
the initial assessment, because they went and repaired the roads and patched them, and they were better than they are now.
Those are all township roads, aren't they, Jerry?
Correct.
Yes. But that could be a project that your $9 million goes to, no? Or 18 million?
Well, actually, Chardon Township asked questions to the county prosecutor if they could use their ARPA funds for this project, and with that township, it doesn't follow their normal basic business. So, and that's what the words were from the county prosecutor to the township.
How much did the township get for ARPA?
I don't know, I'm guessing 400,000. maybe 500,000?
She asked how much we,
Oh, yeah.
around 445,000 is what we got, or will be getting.
Is it customary for the county, when they implement these wastewater treatment plants, to have them completely funded by the residents?
Yes.
Complete, 100%?
Well, except for, yeah, whatever Water Resources takes on as the,
Whatever water resources they
and whatever grant money we cannot obtain within the.
How does the
project.
wastewater treatment plant, how does wastewater treatment receive grant money?
We apply to the funding sources within the state,
Does that include this body?
OPWC.
Does that include this body?
No.
So this body is precluded from moving any money out of the general fund for wastewater treatment?
Under the way the water department is set up, yeah, they do not move any money from the general fund. to
They're
the water
self-sufficient
But it could.
enterprise fund.
But it could.
I mean, take people's tax dollars and put it towards a sewer project?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's possible, right? I mean, legal.
We've never done it.
Is it possible that you could take $18 million and put a wastewater treatment plant in Russell Township?
Out of the general fund?
Out of the ARPA money?
No. I mean, well, possibly, right?
At this point, if
A new
if
one
project
going
had to
forward?
start now, and we would follow federal procurement requirements and go through that whole process, and we were able to get it done by
Yeah.
December 31st of 2026, there's a
Would qualify,
possibility,
right?
yes.
Would you assess that?
In that case, I don't know that we would even ask for that funds, or if we would go through that process, but if we got whatever grant funds we got, reduce the assessment, which is why we spent all the time we did at the beginning of this project searching out all the grant funds, and we did the surveys for everybody, including spending, walking around and going door to door, trying to get the determination that neighborhood is low to moderate income, which is really the basis of where these funding sources provide grants, is they provide more to the LMI, and that's the reason why we tried to get all those. And we went through, and the only ones we were able to get granted was the $500,000 from the Ohio Public Works Commission.
Out of 9 years. It just seems like a lot of money, guys. It really does. It seems like a lot of money.
Thompson got, what, 1.4 million? And then other grants on top of that from some other sources, so they pretty much got 2/3 of their project granted.
It's because they were determined to be a low to moderate income area, so we were able to get additional grant funds from those. We did the same thing, we did the salary surveys up there in order to get to that point. But unfortunately with this, the salary surveys did not come back to the point where the funding sources deemed it to be an LMI neighborhood.
Can you do it now? We derail LMI?
It's too late at this point because the grants have, or the fund's already been done and the project's already been.
So it's a timing issue.
Well, I mean, as we tried at the beginning, we tried to get that determination. It was not determined to be that.
I have one question, though. Why did you put that sign up there that said the project was funded? And it wasn't funded, it was all loans.
Well, that's where the funding was coming from.
But
It's a loan.
people read that sign, they think the thing was funded, and we don't owe any money. I mean, so that's false advertising on your part, thinking, people think you guys went out and got it.
That's the language that we're required to put up there by the funding sources.
Sounds like distrust to me.
Their signs.
All right, I just wondered. The other thing is, why did we start so late on getting stuff? 2012, 2013, we were told 5 years. We're already in the 9 years into it. You can't find anything. The prices of all the stuff has gone up and everything. If you'd have jumped on this in the beginning, we might not be getting it like it is now. So why would you guys, I know some of you guys weren't in office then, so I can't point to you, but why were, feet dragged on this project?
The project was bid out well before coronavirus and the pandemic.
I'm not talking about coronavirus,
So
because it was
that's what
2012,
the costs were.
2013.
We had a cost from there. It was from the bid. We had to follow it. We had a lawsuit that was filed against us for the assessment that slowed up the process. There was a number of items. We were trying to find the funds to reduce the costs. by getting the grants, but we weren't able to get those.
I mean, why'd it take 9 years? That's what I'm saying. And the lawsuit has nothing to do with the 9 years, because that came after 5.
It was the process of trying to find the funding and find grants. And get a design put together, go through that with an engineer and hiring an engineer and doing that. There's a process we have to follow.
I just think you guys drug your feet on it, that's all.
So let's say moving forward, these condos that are in, rumored to be going in on Auburn, tie into that system, what's their cost gonna be? And will that ultimately lower our cost in the long run, or no? We pay that $28,000, they just pay a tying fee.
Their cost will be whatever it costs us to increase the capacity in the plant and sewer lines.
And then we won't be assessed that additional increase either, or we would be?
No, you would not be assessed for that additional cost. They would pay
So
for
the cost to increase that might be $1 million compared to our 9. So they shouldn't assume some of the original cost. It'd be reassessed at that point? Would that not be fair?
There's the determination that would need to occur, and whether there's.
I mean, shouldn't that be written in
issue.
somewhere now, so that down the road, that it will be done?
I thought there wasn't no condos being
What
built.
condo?
rumors.
What condos?
I just
There's a
said
lot of rumors
I
going
said
around
rumors.
about
There
this,
are rumors.
including
I
that they're
mean,
gonna build a
anybody else think so?
90-home subdivision on the golf course.
Is that true?
No, not to my
I said
knowledge.
rumors.
We've never received any question on that. That was an idea that the golf course had that they took to Munson Township back, when we were
Okay,
talking about.
regardless of
putting
whether or
the
not
plan.
it's gonna happen or if it's a rumor, let's say something like that does happen, then in the future, would there be a reassessment to how much everybody that we're gonna be paying the $28,000 a year plus interest over whatever, they should be figured into the original cost, not just the upgrade for, let's say, $1 million compared to our 4.
I can't speak to the
I'm
hypothetical
just-
on that, because, I mean,
That's something
if
that
you're
should be-
building, if they're building rumored,
There's plenty
A
of places on Auburn
400-unit
Road that can tie
condo
into
can
that,
be-
not just the condos on the golf course. So, it's just,
Does anybody think this is
Let's talk in circles.
unconstitutional, being forced into a mortgage, at my age anyway? This whole thing, I mean, this is a forcing of people out or into a mortgage, and do you think this is unconstitutional?
the reason for the project was because of failing septic systems within the
But
subdivision.
everybody had to buy into a new one when they sold their house, and now we're being forced into it before we even have a chance. I can't afford it, and I don't know where to go, because where am I gonna be able to live, that's not gonna be a shack.
And you won't be able to sell your house.
I
You
know.
can't sell your house either.
Same
I
thing.
find it
yeah.
interesting that you're trying to fix a public health problem, and you're causing a public health problem. Like, do you have a department for the mental anguish that you're causing in this whole place? And Jerry, I can't help but feel like you're just kind of blocking everything. Like, can you help us? Like, where you have the resources to help us. Can you help us? That's all I want. Just give me your best. Just give me your best. Really, please.
Okay, who signed the loan papers? I didn't sign the loan papers. I'm only responsible for a loan I take out. I buy a car, I don't come to you and ask you to pay for my car payment. There was no paperwork. I didn't sign any paperwork for a loan. Who signed the paperwork for that loan?
The Board of County Commissioners. signed
Okay.
for a loan
So,
that,
Geog
under the
County.
Ohio Revised Code, is they can go back to the assessment on the properties that are benefiting from the project.
And then if
That's
I
what-
don't pay that, you'll fine me, what, $1,000 a day, a month, whatever?
Well, once it goes on to the taxes, that becomes the tax issue. And I don't know.
And so then you lose your house anyways. And if you have a limited income, then you have to go to the county and go on Section 8 housing
and
Who's paying for that?
and wait 5 years for that. Or you become homeless. Is that what the commissioners want from this, for this county to happen? Houses sitting empty, unable to be sold, taxes not being paid, other levies not being, passed because of this. I mean, there has got to be some help. And I know there's other communities that need help, but it seems like we're not even getting anywhere with you guys. I mean, I don't know where to go, what to do. I can bet you that if Middlefield gets one in a month, you're gonna go, oh, here's the money for it. Or Bainbridge or Newberry, someplace else. And it's like, oh, we'll give you the money, but we're in Chardon, so, oh, we're supposedly got more money than everybody else, which is total bull.
That's the problem.
No.
You know?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, Chuck.
Yeah, real quick, when did you make the request to the prosecutor's office to look into this?
Last week.
Last week? Okay. And then when the funds became available and they listed all these things that they could be used for infrastructure improvements, why wasn't that done a year ago?
Well,
Knowing that this project is there, why didn't we make the inquiry with to be doing this all along?
Yeah.
Because you guys are at the head of this.
Because of the requirement, when you receive federal funds, you have to follow federal procurement. And we did not follow federal procurement on this project because we were not originally receiving funds from the feds, and this project started before ARPA was even an idea.
Right, but we could have gotten a jump on this, so when, a year ago, we would have had an answer by now, if they could have been used.
Are you telling me that $50,000 a hit is not an emergency?
And a lot of people
Is
have.
that what you're telling me? You're telling me losing my home is not an emergency? You're telling me that I can't sell my home for another 20 years is not an emergency? You can't find something in the trillions of dollars that went through this whole system that there's an emergency? You can't come up with $3 million out of a $126 million budget you got? This is where you're at. I just would like a little bit of effort instead of blocking everything. Federal procurement, please. Where do they just need $3 million? We don't need all 18. Something, please. You're telling me out of the $126 million budget you got, you're gonna have $3 million. Just help us, Jerry, please, help us, instead of trying to block us. Please help us. Find a loophole, find a thread of sentence in the law that says, you know what, we're gonna take a chance on those guys. We're gonna take a chance on those guys, and we're gonna get them some money. We're gonna take a shot. And you know what, if the feds come back, you know what, I'm gonna stand my ground. No, that's just not what I'm hearing. That's not what I'm hearing. And I wish you would just please. I'm kind of begging you.
What about people that have been out of work for over 2 years because of this thing, that the ARPA funds were for? That doesn't apply anywhere in there.
Like, what do you mean out of work?
A lot of people were out of work for 2 years because of this.
I can tell you, you could drive down the street and there's help wanted signs everywhere. So if somebody's complaining about a
Okay,
job.
she's talking about during COVID and when nobody could go to work.
I'm just telling you,
Not
during
now.
COVID and not. If you wanted a job, you could have a job. Now, let's not go down that road.
Why not?
You want a job in this county, everybody is hired.
That's not what she was saying.
Well, that is what she was saying.
Over the 2 years that COVID shut stuff down,
I'm
and
just
people
telling
couldn't
you.
find jobs, you got behind on your monthly bills.
If you wanted a job, you could have a job.
Okay, but you're still
Okay.
playing catch up for 2 years is what she's saying.
Okay.
You're
You could have
taking it
been,
out of context.
you could have been working 100%.
Oh, I've been working, thank you, as a nurse.
I'm just saying, if, that
So
whole
this
excuse,
whole crap-
let's not go down that
It's not an
road.
excuse. It's a question.
That's all you get. Minimum wage, less than 40 hours.
Yes, sir.
One more quick question. Item 19, you passed the resolution 22035. Does that have anything to do with the 22020 being rescinded?
No, they
not-
extended it.
Okay, they extended 22020.
Yes, for an additional 30 days, so
Instead
that they
of-
would have time to review and get the answers that
Okay,
you guys
instead
were
of rescinding
requesting.
it, you extended it basically
Right.
with 22035.
Correct.
And I will use that for an excuse because my
That's fine.
son has Down syndrome and he couldn't work. They shut all his places down, so I couldn't work because I didn't have any care for him. So, it's not an excuse.
Chuck?
One last thing, I saw in the paperwork that we have a 6-month tie-in deadline, but isn't state law 1 year from the time the sewer is available?
We set a 6-month deadline because that's what we're giving before we turn the properties over to the health district. And there's probably about 6 months that the health district will give you also. You have to set a deadline on that.
But yeah, but that would be 1 year, so our deadline should be 1 year. Then anything extraneous.
Your deadline is 6 months. We may extend that because we're extending this process, because, you know, the purpose is trying to get it during the time when contractors can actually do the work instead of it being in the winter. So we may look at extending that based off of these situations now.
Has it been completely finished and everything's approved and everything's done?
There are minor issues that are still going on that need to be
So
addressed.
if I went today and got somebody to hook me up tomorrow, it wouldn't be available?
We can get you hooked up tomorrow. It's able to be utilized, but it's not. There's still
But it hasn't
some
been
minor
approved.
adjustments, punch list items that need to be.
But it hasn't been commissioned.
It's been commissioned.
No,
There's punch list
meaning
items. They've been,
punch list, have you dedicated this to be completely online and a completed project?
that paperwork, that final paperwork, no. We've not
Right.
done that, but that's a
So
matter
from
of
the
putting them
date that you do that, we have 1 year to connect. So this time next year, we could be digging sewer lines. But we've been given a mandate by the county with the health department may give you 6 months after. State law says 1 year to connect in the Ohio Revised Code.
We're giving you 6 months.
Okay.
That's water resources timeline.
So they don't follow Ohio Revised Code.
That's water resources timeline that's based off of the findings and orders that were originally in this project.
Thank you.
So is the 30 days extended? Everybody say yes, yes?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
All right, well, thanks.
Okay. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, yeah, 1 o'clock? Okay.
Motion adjourned.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Rob?
Yeah.